All right, so our bell work today is what is one way that humans adapted to their environments during ancient times? I need a complete sentence. Please don't just put one word. While you're doing that, welcome back. Hope you had a good break. All right, so our lesson today is called Origins and Variations of Pastoral Farming. So we're going to learn about pastoralism in ancient Afro-Eurasia. I've covered this in person. I'm not sure I've gone over it for my e-learners, so in case I haven't, Eurasia is the combination of Europe and Asia, since they are one landmass, right? While other continents are kind of distinctly separated. So Africa, for example, is a continent, and it's all by itself. There's no other landmass that there's like a division or a border surrounded by water, but Europe and Asia are the same landmass. So when someone refers to Eurasia, it's both of those continents. And then Afro would be for Africa. So we're looking at pastoralism today. We'll find out what is pastoralism, and then we're going to look at its origins and then the variations of it. All right, so for the first part, we're just going to define pastoralism. So for the purpose of our lesson, we're going to define it in this manner. It says that pastoralism is the ancient method of raising and tending of domestic animals in a non-sedentary manner. So we're basically talking about animal domestication, but in a non-sedentary manner. We've gone over this word sedentary in our last unit, but sedentary is to not move around, to be stationary. So if it's non-sedentary, that means they are moving around. Take a moment to jot that down, then come back and we'll go over 2 and 3. All right, for number 2, we're going to draw on our last unit. I want you to give me 2 or 3 reasons to answer this question. Why did ancient humans domesticate animals to begin with? So 2 or 3 reasons. Go ahead and do that and then come back. All right, for number 3, I want you to predict. How might these people adjust to adapt to their environment in these specific situations, right? I already know for bell work you wrote how they adapted, but I want you to look at these specific situations. So if the soil isn't high enough quality to grow food to feed the animals, how will they adapt? Meaning, like, if they live in a region that has very rocky soil or very dry with lacking nutrients, and they can't grow food, to feed these animals that they're domesticating, how will they adapt in order to feed these animals? What could they do? You're predicting. I don't need you to know the answer. I want you to kind of make an educated guess. And then the second scenario is if the winters are too cold for the animals to survive, then what do they do? Okay, so that's number 3. Finish that up and come back. So let's look at the origins of pastoralism. Why did they start doing this? So scholars believe that pastoralism arose first when humans moved their domestic stock, that's talking about those animals, into drier lands that were distant from their cultivated fields, right? So they're not letting their animals roam through their cornfields or whatever they're growing, right? They intentionally separated them from their food. This happened when about 10,000 years ago, so the first really domesticated animals, and this should be a little bit of a review because we did cover this, were goats, sheep, and pigs, but we also see horses, cattle, other animals as well, but these are the main ones. So this started about 10,000 years ago in Western Asia, specifically the steppes and Near and Middle East, which we'll look at a map in a moment. There aren't any questions on this slide, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So this is source 1. It is a map. I want you to analyze this map. What continent or continents is the steppes located in? So you have to look at the key, do some analyzing. Hopefully you know your continents. If not, you might have to Google. So go ahead and take a moment and answer number 4. All right, so let's look at some variations of pastoral farming. It doesn't always look the same. Like we said, it's spread out over several continents. Hopefully you figured that one out. And there are different animals, so it's not always going to be the same. So while there those that we just talked about are some general examples, like the pigs and the sheep. The term pastoralism includes many different animals and many different environments. So ways that pastoralists tend to their flocks then vary widely depending on different things, like how flexible the farmer can be, where they're geographically located. So if they live in a mountainous range or a desert range or a tropical range, it's going to look different, right? Ecological, and then also social conditions as well. Are they living in a small, like familial tribe? Are they living in larger cities? Where are they located, and what are the social hierarchies that are involved? Pastoralism has two main forms, though. So the two we're going to look at are called transhumance and nomadic. Again, this slide doesn't have notes, so I'm going to move forward to the next one. All right, so let's look at these. Transhumance, and I don't actually, well, you have like a table, so on this table on your worksheet, you're going to jot down on the left-hand side things that are unique to transhumance, and then on the right-hand side, things that are unique to the nomadic lifestyle, and then shared characteristics. But I will say, not to confuse you, but transhumance is kind of a form of nomadic lifestyle. So they are going to be very similar. So in the center, I want those shared characteristics, but transhumance is like a more specific type of nomadic lifestyle. So we'll go into it. So the movement of livestock for water and for food seasonally from pasture to pasture. So these herders, transhumance herders, follow a set pattern. Okay, so I'm going to let you know that that's a unique characteristic. While nomads move around, people who follow the transhumance lifestyle move around in a set pattern. So they move to cooler regions during the hotter seasons and warmer regions during the colder seasons, and they follow these same paths every year. So if you write nothing, at least write they're predictable. It is the same path every year. Okay, they use the same pastures. It's a set pattern, set lifestyle. Where nomads, they also move around, right? But they follow a seasonal migratory pattern that looks different year to year. They don't necessarily, oh, there's a little typo. Sorry, the word farmer should be capitalized in the nomad one. So farmers move their stock far enough distances to require moving their own houses. They don't have typically like a home base. They pick up all their stuff and move it depending on where the food is available for their animals, where there's water available for their animals, environmentally what's happening. It's not predictable. It's unpredictable, right? So the nomads do not have a set pattern, while they are also moving around based on things like season. Where they go can change year to year, okay? I do want to mention that semi-nomadic or semi-transhumance pastoralism is when farmers maintain a permanent home base where old people and tiny children and their caregivers live. Right? So both of these can have a home base, but that's considered to be semi-nomadic or semi-transhumance, while other members of the family move about. So those capable of maintaining the flock or the herds, and those who are going to be moving around, like taking care of these animals. And then full-time transhumance nomads move their entire family, clan, or even community as the demands of the animals require. Right? So there's full-time, and then there's like part-time, basically. So like we said, we're looking at variations. So it may seem complex because there are so many different versions. Like I said, because there's different animals and different social hierarchies and different geographical locations, it looks different depending on where you're looking. These variations are found whether you're full-time, semi-nomadic, transhumance, or nomad, right? So specialization, that means that you can, so these can go under shared if you want. You specialize in a specific type of animal, so maybe you only herd sheep. Right? You're very good sheep herders, where some herd different groups of animals together, right? Your economy. So if you live in a region that has a strong economy or a weak economy, your ability to like sell these animals for profit, for example, is going to look different than someone who has a different economy. Technology. So if you have equipment, or even if there's like roads, for example. Social changes. So if you find that, there's a region or a culture that typically used to live in smaller tribes, but maybe they're now joining together to work in larger groups or something like that. And then mobility, their ability to move about. So if you live in a mountainous range, your transhumance is going to look very different than someone who lives in a non-mountainous range, right? So these are variations that you find whether they are transhumance or nomads. All right, so oh, I made a mistake. That was supposed to go under number 5, what other things can create variations. So if you put under shared characteristics, that's perfectly fine. All right, so we are going to move on to number 6, higher order thinking. I want you to read this quote and then tell me, how are farmers the founders of civilization according to Daniel Webster? So he says, when tillage begins, when you till the fields, other arts follow. The farmers, therefore, are the founders of human civilization. So I call this higher order thinking because I don't give you an answer. I need you to kind of analyze the quote, break it down, and tell me what you think. Take a moment to do that, and then we'll move on. Oh, it cut a little bit of this map off, but that's okay. It says transhumans and nomadism. I can't speak today, apparently. All right, so we're going to look at this map because everything that you need to see, you can still see whether or not the left-hand side's cut off a little bit. But what is this map showing us, just in general? Take a moment, pause the video if you need to, analyze, look at the map. What is it showing us? Okay. Then I want you to look specifically and try to tell me, why are some of the arrowheads, so I hope you know what an arrow is, but for example, we'll look at this one. Why are some of the arrowheads empty, like that one? And why are some of them full, like this one, or solid, right? So it tells you on this map, so take a moment, jot that down. All right, and then source 3 is a reading. It's also on your worksheet, so if you want to look at that, you can. But it's from Dennis O'Neill. It's called Pastoralism. It's published on a website in 2011. It says, the animals herded by pastoralists are rarely killed for family use alone. Fresh meat is distributed throughout the community. This is the most efficient use of their animals because they usually do not have the capability of adequately preserving meat. Right, so if you have an entire dead cow, your family can't eat all of that meat before some of it goes bad. They can't preserve it. So they spread it throughout the community. Not only does it ensure that no spoilage takes place, but it also sets up numerous obligations to reciprocate, that means like to give back, within the community. It promotes cooperation and solidarity, right? Often the slaughter of an animal is for ritual occasion, that is, its death serves multiple purposes. So that its death, serves multiple purposes. It feeds both the gods and the people. Most pastoralists also get food from their animals without killing them. So horses, goats, sheep, cattle, and camels are all milked. So you can eat or drink the milk, right, without killing the animal. In East Africa, cattle herding societies also bleed their animals. The blood is mixed with fresh milk to create a protein-rich drink. So looking at source 3, which again, it's on your worksheet if it's easier for you to look there are 2 more questions that I want you to answer. Why don't pastoral families, pastoral, that's spelled wrong on there, normally kill animals for family use alone? Give 3 reasons. And what other purpose does an animal slaughter serve? Okay. Answer those questions, and then when you are done, the other worksheet that is linked in your Canvas page is a reading. While it looks long, it's mostly pictures, so it's actually really short. I want you to read My Experience of a Nomadic Transhumance reading. It's from a woman who traveled with a transhumance family for a week. While reading, I want you to use, well, you're not in class, so you don't have an exit ticket, but any blank sheet of paper to write 3 sentences explaining what the experience was like. And I also need you to describe the roles of the father, the mother, and the sons. These can be, the roles can be like bolded, that's fine, but the 3 sentences obviously need to be complete, okay? You will submit all of these on Canvas to me today. Bye-bye.